was in rehab. I'd been there for 4 weeks. I've been in this bubble. What's it going to be like?
Yes.
What's real life going to be like? I don't want to fuck it up. What do I do? What am I going to be faced with when I get home? And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that you were just so supportive in all things. I don't deserve that for what I put you through, yet here we are.
It was our journey. It's fine. It is what it is.
Well, I'm struggling not to tear up about it, because without you, I would be a dead man. I've got no doubt whatsoever about that. You supported me every single day. It's a fucking miracle.
Yeah, it is. The whole thing is.
Welcome to The Goulding Show. My name is David Goulding. I'm a recovered alcoholic, cocaine addict and gambling addict, and I'm also the UAE's first and only, I think, full-time certified recovery mentor, sober coach and sober companion. You can find me on Instagram at Sober Coach Dubai.
And I'm Kristina, David's wife, and this is our story. And this is episode number 7. What it was like after you left the priory.
That's right. So support in recovery.
Support in recovery, thanks.
Okay, so
Yeah, I remember this.
It's very good. This is a good moment, I think. At the end of episode 6, I was in rehab. I'd been there for 4 weeks. And typically it's a 28-day stay. I'd found out that I had your full support, which I cannot tell you what a bloody miracle that was. Let's just almost feel that. I feel it often, and I never forget it. And I'm always grateful for it. I don't deserve that for what I put you through, yet here we are.
It was our journey. It's fine. It is what it is.
Well, I'm struggling not to tear up about it because it's so unbelievably wonderful that you've supported me.
Look where we are now.
I know.
Who'd have thought?
Unbelievable. It's a fucking miracle, let's be honest.
Yeah, it is. The whole thing is.
The whole thing is a miracle. Okay. While I'm in the priory and I'm getting my 7 days a week of education, knowledge transfer, humility, learning lots of new things. I'm learning about what it is to be an addict and an alcoholic, how I can cope. We're learning about the 12 steps of Alcoholics Anonymous. We go to meetings. We do all sorts of things. So while I'm getting my 168 hours a week in there, your opportunity is to come to some aftercare meetings for the family.
I remember this because I don't get my 160 hours a week on how to recover from living with you.
Correct.
In the madness.
No.
My point there was I was just grateful and had a really peaceful month knowing that you were in a safe place.
But I do think it's important that lots of rehabs, if not all of them, will run a family aftercare program.
Yeah.
And that's because you guys are going to have questions.
Of course.
Our families, our loved ones, those surround us.
Yeah. I went to a few, didn't I?
Yeah, you did.
Everyone was so welcoming. Mm-hmm. It's my first time.
Because that's full of fear. So for lots of couples, I mean, look, for those of us that are in rehab, when we're about to leave, we're thinking, oh my God, I don't want to fuck it up. What do I do? What am I going to be faced with when I get home? Look, I've been in this bubble. What's it going to be like?
Yes.
What's real life going to be like?
You'd lost 2 stone.
Yeah, I had.
And you got gout.
I did.
That because you changed your diet.
I like to think that. I think it's nothing to do with the fact that I drank copious amounts of alcohol, but I did have gout and I've had it since.
Yeah, you have.
I'm now gout-mongous.
You get it flares up every now and again, but you first got it in the priory because you were in such pain.
I remember.
I felt really sorry for you.
Bloody awful.
Give him a break. He's in the right place. He just needs some peace. Yes, sorry, go on.
That's all right. I think God gave me gout because he wanted me to sit still and listen.
Yeah.
There you go. That's what I believe.
Maybe.
Anyway.
And you lost 2 stone, which is every cloud.
That was a miracle.
Yeah.
As well. Put it back on, but that's something different.
Doesn't matter.
So the family care meetings for you, would you just sort of try and describe what they were like? What happened?
Nerve-wracking when I first walked in. I remember thinking, what do we do? We all sat in a semicircle and I was sat next to wives, husbands, mums, dads, brothers, sisters, children. And they all knew I was your wife. And I don't know how they knew, but not all of them, maybe half of them knew that I was your wife. I don't know why. Still don't know to this day why they knew. But they made me feel very welcome. But it was the first time I was put on the spot, the very first time. It wasn't my mum or my sister. I was talking about you two.
Right.
It was complete strangers that had all gone through something similar to me. a similar taste of what I had to taste every day. They kind of understood. And it was refreshing. It was, I don't cry like you cry, but I can imagine you would have cried a lot if you were in there. We all listened to each other's stories and the room was silent. And it was the first time I got things off my chest I hadn't always said to my mum or my sister.
Important.
Yeah. And I felt very comfortable very quickly in front of all these strangers. And then the next time we all met, they weren't strangers. And I remember thinking, I should have come here years ago. But I didn't. 4 kids, it's not easy, is it? To have somebody that you trust to look after them while you're going. It was refreshing, educational, because of course, what do you call them where there's one leader in the room?
A therapist.
A therapist, yes. That if I was to make a point, she would have explained from an addict's perspective. Because we were all searching for the addict's perspective.
Right.
You're all insane. We had no idea what was going through your heads, but you made our lives a living hell. Why were you so selfish? And the therapist would give us a really good account of what happens, because they are more often than not recovered themselves. Which is just brilliant. Like you are now. You've been 2 people. It's great. And you're a Gemini.
Yes, I used to joke about that and say I'm a Gemini and I'm a schizophrenic, so there's 4 of us in here.
There's 4 of you,
Yeah, I'm not a schizophrenic, by the way. But I am a Gemini.
Yeah, you are.
So what was interesting was that these meetings were every Monday evening. And at the time, this was pre-COVID. So this is September 19.
Where you could meet in person.
They were physical meetings.
And I'm not really one of the people. I'm not the type to talk to random strangers.
No.
You could go into a restaurant and speak to everybody sat around you.
Yeah.
I'm not like you.
No.
I quite like my own company, thanks.
Yeah.
I'm always pleasant to people. I don't go out to say hello and put my hand out and shake people's hands. I'm probably the opposite to you. But in those meetings was the first time for me, I felt I could walk in on the second time and say, hiya.
Very good.
Come sit next to me. Let's do this.
Oh, really?
Let's talk about this. Yeah, that's not me. So something was different in there. We all were coming from the same place.
Got it.
It was nice.
That's the power of the rooms, because on that Monday night, the priory had 2 big rooms, basically. The family would meet in one room.
Yes.
And then we would all meet, all the addicts would meet and alcoholics would meet in another bigger room.
Yeah.
Because the aftercare ran for a year. So you're encouraged to go to these Monday night meetings, and there's a
you'd have a coffee and you'd have your biscuits and say,
people
right,
would bring
Spike,
cake and
see you in an hour, or sometimes it was 90 minutes, which went really quickly, like these are. Everything went so quickly.
And
I enjoyed it.
I think there's this common bond, which is what we find. We call them the rooms of Alcoholics Anonymous. I mean, I go to AA, Cocaine Anonymous, Narcotics Anonymous, Gamblers Anonymous. I go to all of them. I still do. Multiple times a week.
Yeah, you do. You enjoy them.
And I love them. I love them.
I like that you go. I like that you still go. Not that I think you're going to drink again, but you always come out happier. And you always say, I'm so grateful.
Yeah.
You never said that.
No.
You never told me how happy you were or how grateful you were. So it's music to my ears. You go to probably one most days, including weekends, which is great.
Yeah. You were going to those meetings like I was during my stay.
Yes.
Now, when I came out, there's a huge fear. So in those meetings, we get to talk about that, because you're probably saying, what's it going to be like? What's he going to be like? What should I do? What shouldn't I do?
Yeah.
And when I came out, I had the same fears, which is I don't want to fuck this up. I don't want to say the wrong thing. I want to try and find a new equilibrium. But we're all walking on eggshells a little bit. What I can say publicly is how awesome and amazing you were, because you supported me all the time in everything. You never laid any rules down. You also didn't throw the past at me and just be bitter and resentful, because unfortunately some people can be.
Oh, I can imagine that's their time to go,
yeah.
Look, this is how you made me feel.
Yeah.
No,
it's all right for you, Yeah.
Yeah.
So you were amazing. And I recall coming out and saying, look, we're advised to do 90 meetings in 90 days. And that's a meeting every day. And I remember you basically saying, Gordon, you just do what you need to do. You do what you want to do. If it's going to help, go ahead. And I was like, I couldn't believe it. I couldn't believe that you were just so supportive in all things.
And you also had to go out and leave the house. You didn't go to work. You can't stay at home all day. It'll drive you and me insane. I don't want you around me all day. I don't think it's normal. I think one of you should go to work or both go to work and have your time apart. You wouldn't have been the same if you'd have stayed at home.
No.
These meetings were not just good for recovery. They were good for you. It made you get dressed,
Yep.
get in the car.
Routine.
Structure.
New habits.
Yeah. New habits.
New healthy habits.
That's what you mean by the new habits.
Yes.
I understand. Yes.
Making new healthy habits. And listen, being reliable, turning up. So some of the meetings that we go to, well, every meeting, whether it's AA or NA or whatever, my home group is an NA meeting, just the way it turned out. We do service, so everyone gets a little job. So one guy might open the doors, Brian puts the chairs out, Philip makes the tea, somebody chairs the meeting. So it's called getting service. And it's a really important part of people's recovery to get.
Humbling as well, I can imagine.
Yeah, listen, I made the tea.
Who makes cups of tea for everyone these days? You did.
I did. I voted myself that immediately.
Yeah, you did.
There was the Cocaine Anonymous meeting on a Wednesday evening. I used to go to that, 8:00. I would make the tea. And then I got promoted after a little while, and I did the literature. Yeah. And I would hand out literature. And there's numbers of reasons I think you're right. It's about humility. It's going to smash your ego if you're making tea for everybody. It's also being reliable, turning up. And because sometimes, I will be honest, sometimes your mind will say, oh, you can't be asked today. I don't want to go to the meeting today. I've had a shit day. But actually, if you know that you're going to let some people down, quite literally, they're not going to get the cup of tea. And people will say, where the hell's he gone? You don't want to let anyone down. So you turn up. And then when you turn up, you say, gosh, I'm so glad I came. So there's little ticks.
Yeah, you're always glad when you go.
And I always love the meetings all the time.
You do. Even when you're jet lagged, you'll go to a meeting.
Yep.
Who wants to go to that when you're jet lagged? But you do.
And I've been to meetings all over the world now.
Yeah, you have.
I've started a few.
You started one in the Maldives,
I did.
In our resort.
I did. So for me, they were a really important part of my early recovery. But
yes,
they're still important today.
They are.
Just as important, if not more so.
Like I said, you had to leave the house. You weren't going to work because you had some time off work. Mm-hmm. You'd have gone and it would have driven you mad being at home.
I think
I wasn't used to it either, probably selfishly. Go out and after the meeting, go and call at Costa's and have a coffee with somebody. Yeah. Because there'll be somebody in that meeting that'll need a bit of help or just someone to talk to. Not everyone wants help. But just someone to talk to.
Oh, I know.
And you did. You'd be gone for 4 hours. It was brilliant. And then you were ready to come home. You came home and you were so pleased that you'd gone.
Oh, yeah. Because that's doing the do. That's the action. Once you start doing the action, you actually begin to feel different, see the benefit. Now, the other thing that's important when anyone might come out of rehab or private clients that I work with, which is looking and doing the steps. So one recovery pathway is to do the steps of Alcoholics Anonymous or CA or NA or whatever. And you need a sponsor, and I found a sponsor very quickly. And he's still my sponsor. He's called Nick, and he's bloody lovely. And he's part of the reason that I changed, that I'm clean and sober today. And
so does everyone need a sponsor?
Yeah. And a sponsor is somebody who is ahead of you in time of sobriety. So they'll be clean and sober. Yeah. They too have a sponsor. So they're not on their own.
Yeah.
Because this notion of being on your own and thinking you know all the bloody answers, well, you don't. Well, I can tell you that there had to be a wholesale change in my attitude to life, because that was one of the reasons that I was drinking and taking drugs, was because I was overwhelmed and I needed to stop. So I stopped drinking and taking drugs. And now this is sort of moving into now what I've learned and why I'm a professional in the field, which is I believe that putting down the drink and drugs is 1%.
Yeah.
It's 99% changing who we are, finding out who we are. Why do I think like that? Why do I behave like that? Because I want to know. I'm a bloody scientist. I want to know. And
not everybody wants to go digging though, do they?
But I think
you're very good at how you direct them and you encourage them.
I think you must.
Yeah.
So I call that process emotional archaeology. Right? You go digging. I need to start going digging and having a look at who the hell David is. So I've got this idea of David Goulding version 1. He was drinking alcohol, taking drugs and gambling until the age of 54.
I know.
There were things inside him that he didn't know how to behave.
I know.
I forgot that I'm talking to somebody who really has experienced it like me.
I remember.
And I wanted to know and I wanted to learn. So, for example, tolerance. That Mr. Intolerant, I had to learn more tolerance.
Still a bit intolerant now.
Of course.
But it doesn't matter. Usually things are going too slow. The Wi-Fi is too slow.
Yeah.
Driver in front of you is too slow.
Why? It's all about being slow.
Golf buggies going from somewhere in the resort to somewhere else is too slow. How fast is this going, my friend? 50 miles an hour, sir. It's not quick enough. And I'm sat there, and this is when I just choose to say nothing because it's entertainment now.
Yeah.
Because I know there's going to be no row. There's going to be
Yes.
no consequences. There's going to be no drinking. It's just quite funny.
I'm still
watching you carry on.
Yes, I know that I'm like that. The world still doesn't go quick enough for me.
No, it doesn't.
I can tell you
And it never
that.
will.
No, that's definitely one of my problems.
So you've not had a complete personality transplant.
No.
You're still you. Even when you were in the madness, and so was I, we still laughed. There was just not as often. Now we laugh a lot.
Yeah, all the time, every day.
Yeah.
We talk every day at a different level. I think that there's no bitterness, no resentment. We're still human beings. We're not Mr. and Mrs. Perfect Couple.
No.
But there's been
We'll
a
still
wholesome...
give each other the look.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's framed in a different way. Yeah.
It's for me.
So where I'm talking about my journey as the addict going through recovery, I think you too went through a journey of your own form of recovery.
I think we all do when you know somebody or live with somebody.
Because you were in the madness too, you explained.
Yeah. And not everybody wants to call themselves an addict. Who wants to say they're an addict? The word addict, I mean, couldn't they think of a better name? Addict. You say it very well. You'd say it in a proud way. Hello, I'm David. I'm an alcoholic addict. I think I shouldn't be laughing because you do it with a big smile on your face.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think for every addict, there's how many people involved, roughly?
5.
5.
For every alcoholic and or addict. There's the person in the eye of the storm, and there's at least 5 people around you that you've affected or have been affected. And that's why we call it a family disease. It affects the family.
Yes.
But, but you can imagine those ripples, they go further.
Yeah.
They affect people at work, even neighbours, everybody.
There's still something I'm not sure about. If our 4 dependent children were older and they witnessed the rows we had, I'm not sure how I would have handled it.
Yeah.
Because they were so young, they were protected anyway.
Yeah.
Because they were all in bed by 8 o'clock latest. I don't know what I'd have done if they were all 12, 15, 18 and 19. I don't know.
Well, I know you well enough to know that you would have instituted some new boundaries. You wouldn't have sat back and let it all wash over you. That's not you, and that's not the woman that I love.
No.
That's not you. But would it have been enough of a game changer that you might have left me and called it a day or whatever? Who knows?
I don't know. I can't blame those that do leave because they each have their own story.
Yes, of course.
And everyone has their limits.
Yes, that's a really good point.
Our children, sorry, I said the word my for years. Our children kept me level-headed. Focused in the real world.
Protective and grounded and...
Very grounded. They still do.
Yes, they do.
And your actions, gosh, it's such a good question. I'm delving deep here. Your actions never came near how an action from the children would hurt me.
Yeah.
Something that they did. Like our youngest had to have an operation. That was the worst thing I'd ever been through.
Several.
Worse than any row we ever had.
Yeah.
I just did not let you.
In that far.
No.
And I'm glad you didn't.
No way. I got stung a couple of times at the beginning. I'm
really glad you didn't.
You can't. There's a lot more people more sensitive than I am. There's a set of skills that you need to learn. And they're not for me to say. They'll know themselves. And one day you'll wake up and you'll feel differently. you're not as crushed.
Yeah.
Because the next time you decide to be a knob, well, that's you being a knob.
That's not you.
I detached.
You did, yeah.
My thinking didn't have you in it. My plans didn't have you in them. But every night when I went to bed, I don't know why, but I knew that this is all temporary.
Wow.
One day he'll change.
Boy, oh boy, did I.
Just listen to your gut instinct,
Mm.
because I always believe in mine.
You touched on something there. Do you mind me asking you about it, which is about our youngest daughter and the operations that she had? When she was born, it was quite clear when she was born that she needed some operations.
Yeah.
She had
syndactic fingers.
syndactyly fingers, which is where they're joined
On
together.
both hands, just the 2 fingers on both hands. And she had a cleft palate. She didn't have the cleft lip, but she had the cleft palate.
So we knew she needed some operations, and the cleft palate meant that it was difficult for her to feed with a bottle or whatever, because you've got to learn a new way.
There was no suction. She couldn't suck the teat.
That's right.
There was no vacuum in her mouth.
Correct.
So you had to have a bottle that you could squeeze the milk
Yeah.
in a rhythm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So we had to make some adjustments to look after her. But I recall when she had to have a first operation. And
tough going for you and me.
Yeah. I mean, that's part of the situation that we were going through. But I think you are right. I think it affected you. It was around that time that you got poorly. Do you mind me talking about that?
No, not at all.
So you've been diagnosed with MS.
MS, yeah.
And I think you had your first instance of an episode of MS. So the first S.
The first S, yeah.
But it wasn't M until you'd had the second S.
And the third and fourth.
The third and fourth.
Yeah, the multiple. I didn't have at this stage.
No, but
I didn't know what it was.
No, you had optic neuritis.
I did.
And you sort of went blind in one eye.
The only thing I can explain it is there was a UFO shape in my left eye. UFO, you're thinking. But it was true. And my colour went.
Right.
So it wasn't black and white. It was more of a faded yellow, faded green, faded. Everything in front of it was faded. It was like beige, boring beige. And there was a UFO in my left eye. My vision, when I looked straight through my eye, I couldn't see it.
Right.
My peripheral vision was fine.
Okay.
It was a shock because we thought there was grit in my eye or something. Do you remember? We went, and that was after she had her first operation.
And I think that it was really traumatic, that operation.
Yeah, it was for us both.
I think it was for her.
But
I think for the two of us. But it impacted your health. And
yes, it did.
And it sort of appears to have brought on your first episode of MS.
Yeah. Optic neuritis after her operation, which made me think, why did I not get MS symptoms when I was in the madness living with you? Why has it taken our daughter to go through an operation for it to come out?
Because there's a notion that it's dormant, I guess, or growing or getting worse. I don't.
And maybe the amount of children that you have as well. I don't know whether that's a factor. It doesn't matter. I've read so much. But yes, stress-induced. So I've got MS right now. I can't feel my fingertips. A lot of the time I'm rubbing my fingers just to remind myself that I can feel them. It's very odd.
So since then, actually our youngest daughter's had at least 2 operations.
Yes.
And each time it's brought on an episode for you.
Yeah. And yet none of our rows did.
And again,
isn't it funny?
But I don't think, I'm not looking to say this is that and that is this and they're not connected. I'm just thinking that there is a coincidence there. I don't think I'm trying to make any sort of leap of judgment or whatever.
No.
I mean, you could argue that the years of my behaviour was the foundations and groundwork for your MS to later come out. Who's to know?
Yeah, I'm not judging.
Who's to know?
Because we dealt things all the time. I'd take MS over something else.
Yeah.
So as bad as MS can be, it's multiple sclerosis. It's different for everybody.
Yeah.
There's not a handbook you can read and then this is what you'll feel next year. This is what you're going to feel in 5 years. It's just different for us all. I suffer with numbness, tingling, optic neuritis.
Couple of times,
balance, thankfully.
Inner ear balance.
Oh yeah, in the mornings when I'm getting up at 5:30 or 6 a.m, I have to get out of bed very slowly. Everything has to be very slow, and then I'll be okay. If I get out of bed too quickly, then I'm dizzy for the whole day. But I'll take it because I can't do anything about it. They say it's stress-induced.
Yeah.
Who has a life with no stress?
But I think that those episodes were key moments.
Yeah.
They're probably high stress.
Yeah.
I think I'm actually trying to talk about it now to draw the parallel of recovery, really, which is that in life, sometimes we come up against life's obstacles.
Yes.
And you are somebody who meets them head on.
You have to. Look it in the eye. Look it in the eye.
And that's a great message for all sorts of people. And I don't throw that away flippantly and say, oh, it's easy, you just need to do this. You know.
No.
It's not a just at all. I think people that use the word just are completely ignoring how difficult it is. I don't like the word just. That's like somebody saying, well, why don't you just start a business? You have no idea
No, I know.
how difficult it is. You know, you've got depression. Well, why don't you just cheer up?
I know.
No, there's no just about it. So let's remove the word just from the English language, please. But I think that the power of the individual to overcome and prevail, you said that in your letter to me, in my step 1 letter, we will prevail. And I love that word.
We are.
And we are prevailing. And I don't think it finishes. I think we prevail most days, and sometimes more than other days. Some days you've really got to dig deep. Other days, not so much.
No. And your outlook on life as well. The fact that I've got MS makes no difference when it comes to me planning things. It's maybe a bit more aware about, because they say it's not genetic, but my mum and my auntie have both got it. So there's some connection going on. I don't know why we get these illnesses. I don't know why people suffer.
I think that it's quite interesting, the genetics bit, because there's an overlap with genes and alcoholism. You know, there's been studies that
Really?
Yeah. You know, imagining that you've got an alcoholic father or mother. It doesn't mean that you're going to be an alcoholic, but the odds are increased.
Yes.
Without a doubt. Now, the question there is, and the jury might still be out, which is that nurture-nature?
Yeah.
Is it because you've got it in your genes, or is it because you've been in that environment? Very
interesting. What do you think?
I think it's both. I think we're beginning to find more and more things are in our genes. I think it's only going to continue.
Well, this is the deck of cards we've been dealt.
Yeah.
We just have to keep going.
I agree with that.
In a sober way.
Yeah.
And even I can have the odd glass of whatever in front of you and you won't mind.
No, I'm not bothered.
Because I only have one.
Oh, I'm not bothered.
I didn't though for a couple of years.
No, you didn't, no.
I was a bit scared.
No,
now I do. I'll have the odd one.
You were respectful.
I don't get drunk because I can't get out of bed for 4 days. I've learnt that. So, and you can't with kids either. You have to be there, and they want the breakfast. They want mummy. Yes. God, we could talk all day.
And unfortunately, we can't. This is the end of episode 7.
Okay.
But I think it's been lovely. And I just want to publicly say thanks. Thanks for supporting me in my recovery.
Thanks.
Because without you, I would be a dead man. I've got no doubt whatsoever about that. You supported me every single day. And I'm so incredibly grateful. It's an absolute gift to be married to you. It's a fucking miracle.
Are you going to start crying again?
And I am a little bit. And I used to say my prayers to say all I want is to be with you. And you made that happen. So thank you. And
thank you.
Thanks to the listeners. Bye-bye.
Bye.